Hi, it's Phil here from Spokes Education. We're going to start a new series of videos today, and we're going to look at taking you through our development processes. So we're going to show you how we put together an e-learning course with a specific focus on doing some bulk work. So basically looking at putting together a lot of modules in a short amount of time. So what we're going to focus on is looking at development process from a storyline perspective. We're not going to worry too much about the bit that comes before, all the kind of needs analysis and the kind of learning design. We might do some separate videos on that. This is very much focused on how we get from nothing on a page to an end product, say in storyline essentially. And obviously this can be applicable to many other authoring tools, but say storyline's the one we typically use. So that's what we're going for. So what we're going to do is going to jump in and show you, I'll share my screen and you can kind of see what we do. So the first stage really is to, let me resume this. Okay, so the first stage is what we do is think of the concept. And what we do is we take the client's branding guidelines first and foremost, and we put together some kind of mock-up for them, and what we'll typically do, so we might do this at the proposal stage, depending on how we've kind of won the contract, or we might put it together kind of afterwards. But what we'll do is we'll take their kind of brand guidelines, we'll look at putting together some standard slides. So we're looking at the ones we're looking at now, kind of a title slide. Again, you'll see we're using the same kind of placeholder image for now. We've got just a standard sort of slide with text. We've got various different variations. Obviously, we've got the kind of light and dark variations. And normally what we do, so this is a bit further along than the kind of initial prototype stages, but we'll normally put together kind of 5 different slide types based on the kind of things we'll think typically are in the course. That'll be a sort of a standard title slide, a standard kind of text slide, some kind of video slide. In this one, we've got some slider slides. We've got on a question slide will be another kind of typical one we do. So we'll probably put together like 5 or 6 initially, and then some kind of click and reveal type thing where we need to break the content down. And there's the video slide there. And then we've also done some variations as well, because in this case, client wanted to see using kind of illustrated characters rather than real life, kind of the isolated photography that we've got as the first option. So we just give them a few options and so they can see the difference. In the end, actually, what we've done is kind of a bit of a combination of the two. But this is where it kind of starts. So our graphics design team have put this together in Adobe and in liaison with the development team to kind of say, okay, what works from a UX perspective. We do have some kind of typical side thing. This one's a little bit different. We've got the navigation bar in the side here, which is a little bit different to what we normally do. But again, we wanted to make it, the reason why we did that actually, because we're going to probably have to translate these courses into Arabic. So we felt that this makes it a little bit easier for us when we're doing that. With the kind of the left-right navigation side of things, we can essentially just kind of lift this bar and swap buttons around and things like that. So we're just trying to make it a little bit easier for us in the long term. So the design team have taken all that into account, taken the brand guidelines into account, and put this together. So once we've kind of got a bit of approval from the client, what we'll do is we'll actually go and build these slides in Storyline. So the design team will export these images using, they'll export kind of the images in Illustrator files typically, but then also in PNGs. We might use SVGs if we're doing RISE or something similar, but typically it'll be PNGs. And these kind of assets will all get exported. Now, what we tend to do is only really export assets that can't be replicated in Storyline. So we're only going to kind of, so anything we see here, so things like the button here, we can replicate that in Storyline. We can't obviously with the photography, so these kind of isolated photography will get exported as images, and the design team will then obviously put together some other options and different photos as well to give us a bit more flexibility. So yeah, a lot of this stuff here is actually stuff that we can kind of replicate in Storyline. The navigation buttons, we can't really get them as nice as that, so we'll kind of export them as images. But otherwise, a lot of this actually is stuff that we can replicate in Storyline. They're actually quite minimalist slides actually. The slider actually is not one again, we would have a look at doing a bit of a combination with that one perhaps, and do perhaps the background image with a slider over the top, the kind of custom slider. So, but generally speaking, we'll get the kind of design team to export them for us. So now what we do is we go into Storyline, and we'll do a separate video on the actual process of putting together kind of slide masters and thinking about accessibility, because accessibility is going to be a massive thing in this particular course as well. So we've done loads of work on accessibility to make sure these slides are set up in a way that works with keyboard accessibility and screen readers, etc. So we start to build out the slides, taking the assets, combination of the assets we've got from the design team and mixing it with kind of assets we built in Storyline. So for example, you can see here, let's just zoom out a little bit. Here's the tab version that we kind of mocked up earlier. And what we've got, actually this is just a rectangle from Storyline, and we've just applied some, I assume there's some shadow work on there. If we just have a look at the format shape. Yeah, so you can see we've got some sort of shadow stuff, which kind of, again, just replicating the same kind of thing that design team's done. So they might kind of pass that information to us, and we'll kind of set that up. And then we can see we've got the different tabs with things. So basically what we've done is created a custom template slide, and there's a version, there's a 3-tab version, a 4-tab version, and we've got essentially already, at the start of the project, we've already got a reasonable range of template slides here for different things, and we've got quiz questions in there, we've got carousels, cars, got standard kind of slide types as well. So we'll go and build all this out. Now the developer, like I said, will take all those kind of elements of the design, put them into this, put together the actual baseline of things. We'll also then look at the kind of, say, the slide master stuff, which we'll look at in a separate video. But that slide master will also contain things like any kind of key triggers. So these kind of template slides will have all those kind of triggers built in. So we want to make it as easy as possible for the developer who's going to go and build the course, that they have to kind of minimize any kind of work, and also it keeps everything nice and consistent. It's really, really important as well when we're kind of looking at making things accessible. So as you can see here, we've got a few kind of triggers already built into these template slides. And if we go to the slide master, we'll also see just a couple of things actually on this one. We actually don't have a lot with the slide master, but we've got the toggle the sidebar, which happens on every single slide master. I don't actually think we've got anything else on these ones, but some of the other kind of more complex slide masters have got a lot of things happening in there. If we've got things like custom navigation panels and things that kind of appear, we've got kind of custom next buttons that kind of animate in. They tend to sit in this kind of slide master version, and in that way we kind of they're kind of there, and we know we don't have to touch them, and they stay tidy and out of the way. So we also take what we do also with this template. We also apply the settings to the player. So we look at the player settings. We'll apply all them. We'll apply the apply things like design settings. So again, in the design, we've got the kind of colors and the fonts and everything set up. So we've got all the custom fonts here, and again, that's already kind of set up for us. Got all the colors should be there, and then we've got I think that's probably, is that about it? I think it lends, the player settings was the other thing. So again, we make sure all the player settings are there as well. So everything's in place, all the colors are kind of set up for us, got all the player fonts all set up. So now essentially we've got a custom slide deck, and what we'll do over time, like I said, we'll start with this, and as we built out the first module, as custom slides come up, we'll start to build them and start to add them to the template deck as well. And then over time, if we look at another one where we've done this and we've been working on, I think, about 100 odd modules, you can see now this kind of is the size of the template deck we've built up over time. So we categorize them into various different things. So we've got in this instance, we've got kind of hub pages, text pages, videos, click and reveals, infographic style, process style, drag and drop style, quiz, etc. So we've all got different various things that, again, once we kind of add a new thing to the deck, we put that in here. What we also do is we also publish this to a review site, and we'll come on to that in the next video why we do that. And then what basically all this helps with the development process, it actually also really helps with the storyboarding process that comes before the development as well. So like I said, what we tend to do first module we'll kind of build out on the fly, and we'll kind of build it out as we go. From the second module onwards, then it becomes a bit more of a process. We've already got a lot of the template slides that we can work with, and then what we're going to do is we're going to show you in the next video how we kind of take that kind of first module and first set of slides and then take them to the next part, and then how we keep on building on them and how we use them to quickly put together storyboards and how to quickly put together a course. But this is kind of the fundamentals of what we do, and like I said, this is kind of it's quite a top heavy process. You know, a lot of the work goes in these early stages, but what it does, like I said, you know, it's really beneficial for these modules or these courses where you've got many modules, because, you know, over time it just gets quicker and quicker. We do use this process if we're just doing a single module, because you never know, we might want to do it in the future, but essentially it's a little bit more expedited. We kind of do it a little bit more kind of ad hoc. And we might then build the template deck out afterwards. So what we'll probably do is just build the course out as we go, and then we'll look at doing the template deck later. But when we've got multiple modules, we'll always work with this template deck, and this becomes our hub of assets essentially to build the course out. So that's about it for now. If you want to follow kind of the rest of the process along, if you follow us on socials, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, then you can see the rest of the process and follow. You can check out our other videos as well. But until then, thanks for listening, and catch you next time.